When a client asks how to grow without spending more on ads, this could be your answer to them. In this video, I'm going to cover what the mirror loop protocol is, how to know if your client should run it, and where the pattern goes in the next 6 to 12 months. Here is the strategy signal for this week. So let's talk a little bit about the mirror protocol. It's a distribution system where a brand packages behavioral data as identity proof. Users do the distribution themselves, which makes this a great segue into people becoming the brand ambassadors for you. The media budget just goes to zero. So how does the system work? Well, last year, 2025, Spotify designed artifacts that users want to share because sharing signals something about who they are. And the media budget just doesn't need to improve upon that. So what Spotify did was on December 3rd, 2025, Spotify released Wrapped. Within 24 hours, they had 200 million engaged users, which was an all-time record for them, 500 million shares, another all-time record for them, and 65 million shares listening age feature alone. Zero paid meta ads in the entire history of Wrapped. As you can see, this brand right over here, Grace Turner. Your name is Grace Turner, and your profile photo is this. Guests will be able to see and share your listing data and your photo. Let's start with this here. So what does it actually look like? Well, that's what we're going to see right here is an ad. UK Wrapped campaign assigned chapter titles that function as identity claims. Employee of the month was a performance review and a badge of dedication. Top fan, tribal belonging, made visible and shareable. Top bestie, relational identity confirmed by the data. The ad ends with fans asking, how do I check my Wrapped version? And the closing beat creates demand for the personal data artifact. 8.9 million YouTube views on the UK Wrapped campaign video. UK fans shared it because it reflected their cultural world back then. And you can see more of this right over here. Every chapter title in this ad is an identity claim, and that's the whole system on display. In fact, we're going to see just a few minutes, maybe a few seconds of this 2025 Wrapped UK version.
Have you not checked your rap though?
Oh, sorry, Auntie. No, top 1%. We're probably Century's biggest fans. Numbers don't lie.
Bro, look. I was waiting for that album to drop, you know. Carlos greetings.
Obviously, Jade was my...
So what's happening is just the average day bloke, right, is experiencing kind of brand identity and is showing everything from the taxi driver to the guy at the convenience store. They all have an identity. They're all, in a sense, being famous because of their badge identity that Spotify has been wrapping. And of course, there's Lewis Capaldi. Here's this Amazon driver. He's coming up to drop off a package to Lewis Capaldi. He's talking on the phone about how incredibly personable he is, how he's just an average bloke. And Lewis Capaldi's right there, and the guy just misses it. So you could see that.
Absolutely. Something. Lewis Capaldi he just seems like a really nice, down-to-earth bloke. Like, if you met him, he'd probably just, like, shake your hand and, like, take you for a pint, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would. And here he is shaking his hand. Ready.
Cheers, mate.
Nope, nothing.
Thank you. Cheers.
And then he realized...
I swear to God I'll survive.
I check my Spotify rap.
How do I check my rap? How do I check my rap?
How do I check my rap?
My rap.
My rap.
And by having these artists at the end all asking, well, how do I check my Wrapped? It actually puts you at a level higher than them because most of us have already checked it, and the celebrities are actually behind the curve. So that's the UK Wrap. And let's talk a bit about why this pattern worked right now in 2025. Just towards the end, December, right? I mean, we're only a few months from there, about 6 months ago. Three forces made this mirror loop especially effective in 2025 and 26. First one is paid acquisition was broken. Mobile CPMs have climbed every year since 2020, and performance marketing that worked in 2018 barely breaks even now for most of the brands. So when users become your distribution channel, you've built something that gets more valuable as ad costs were rising. AI collapse of production. This is the second one. So Listening Age is a LLM running over a data set. Any brand with behavioral data and the API can now generate personalized identity narratives. The gap between Spotify's engineering capability and what a mid-market brand can build closed significantly in 2024 to 2025. And the human premium is just, this is the third reason, human premium is all the more valuable. When AI generated content saturates every surface, a feature that feels genuinely personal. Oh my gosh, here are these artists, Lewis Capaldi, all these other UK artists. The one that reflects back something specific and true about you, now this is the personalization of that mirror loop protocol, is worth more than it was before. So in an era of AI generated everything, the decision made all the difference. So let's just say, for instance, that this only worked for Spotify Unwrapped. Well, there's actually 3 other industries where this worked as well. First off, fitness. Strava, fitness year in sport, runs for its 12th consecutive year, 180 million users, 14 billion kudos in 2025. Strava moved the full recap behind its premium paywall, and users paid for shareable proof of who they are as athletes. Number 2 example where this pattern worked was Monzo. It turns private spending data into personality badges. 192 eras, Percy Pig era, McDonald's legend in 2025, 14 million customers, 66% joined via word of mouth campaign for the year 2025, and AI technology, OpenAI. All users built it first campaign. Users started building their own ChatGPT Wrapped on TikTok before OpenAI launched an official version. And the demand was so culturally resonant that the product followed the users. So the mirror loop protocol is embedded in consumer expectations that people built it themselves. And if the brand won't build it, then the customers will. And if your product captures behavioral data worth being proud of, that's something really to keep in mind right now. What is our data? What is our data on our customers that we can come back and say, hey, you should be proud of this? Then you have something of this mirror loop protocol on your hands. So should you use this pattern? Well, there's 4 questions on whether you should use the mirror loop protocol for your strategy. Number 1, what behavior does your product track that users might actually be proud of? Fitness? Is it creative output? Is it taste signals, professional accomplishments? I can see LinkedIn really doing this well too. Number 2, does your user feel that like they chose this behavior? Did they have a choice over it, or did the circumstance produce it? Number 3, would your user share this data with their specific audience and on which the platform? It's got to make them look good. It's got to make them feel good about who they are, right? And number 4, what does your user want this data to prove about them? And one red flag, if the data contradicts the self-concept the user wants to broadcast, so, you are a huge, Lady Gaga fan, cool. You're a Gagaite. Okay, maybe I don't want to be a Gagaite. Maybe I just want to be myself as a premium user of YouTube music. Who knows? If the data contradicts my own self-concept of what I want to put out there, they'll call it inaccurate, and even when it is accurate according to the data. So it's got to make them look good. And the mirror has to be flattering to work, right? So this is design private honesty, design public identity safety. So how do you run this mirror protocol? If this is something for you, there's a few stages. First, I mentioned earlier, you want to audit identity weight. So evaluate behavioral data and signals. Number 2, second phase is you want to build that interpretive layer, map meanings that connect actions to identity. Then the third phase is reverse engineer that artifact, deconstruct shared items from the platform. Then you want to move to the 4th stage, design for distinctiveness, optimize features and recognizability. And then the 5th stage is you want to create a ritual moment. So ritual is very human. It establishes repeatable, memorable interactions. And so all of those steps, when you start walking them through, there's a lot of tech involved in that. And you need to be able to keep it human throughout. Just my take. Spotify Wrapped is another flavor of wearing a brand shirt. This was a Reddit comment in the earlier trend data. It's a description of belonging. The brand shirt makes tribe membership visible, confirmable, legible to the people who matter. And so it's a belonging infrastructure. Spotify runs belonging. It's the data, the evidence that brings the brand, that deploys this as belonging confirmation, builds something that compounds, because users who leave, they leave with this kind of diary of their whole experience. It's like, where have I been? Where am I going? You know? And there is a bit of memory equity here, as it's this contemplative tradition and mysticism, which is where I come from. We call it attunement, purely relational. Spotify makes the existing identity visible, and then the data is just confirmation. So how amazing is that when a brand feels attuned to my interests and I'm attuned to them as well? But let's also talk about where the strategy is going in the next 6 to 12 months. Consumer products, Mirror Loop protocol is peaking right now, moving from novelty to retention infrastructure. B2B, the category doesn't exist yet. There's no vocabulary for it. There's no competing products. There's no competing frameworks. The territory is unclaimed. TikTok had an outperformance of 770 times. Third-party Mirror Loop content versus branded content. You're going to see a lot more of that in TikTok, especially in those trends. And what to watch out for? I think major DevOps or engineering infrastructure tool launches a behavioral recap product in the next 2 quarters. EU AI Act enforcement decisions. You're going to see that on behavioral identity profiling. It could slow the enterprise adoption if privacy regulations classify this as high risk. And whether any marketing production publication names this pattern before B2B product builds it out, that naming of that event collapses the category advantage. So what you want to do here is you want to make sure that you're starting in B2B and you're trying to get the technology up to speed. If you wanted to strategically, use this, if you advise companies with behavioral data and a B2B user base, bring this framework to your next client meeting before someone else names it for them. So that's the next 6 to 12 month read. That's it for the strategy signal. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you want to see all the newsletter information and client ready strategy decks for this particular strategy, go ahead, see down below. Catch you later. Bye for now.